Hey, this is Actar and welcome to the second part of the two-part Ga-Rei Zero Figma figure review of Figmas Yomi and Kagura. And today we'll be taking a look at the character-specific accessories. So first up, Figma Kagura, and what better way to start off than with her main weapon of choice, the pneumatic exorcist sword Michael the 12th. And this is no ordinary sword. In the show, it has a special feature. By pulling the trigger located right here on the scabbard itself, the cutting power of the sword is tripled by pressurized air. But of course, the accessory does not have that feature, sad to say. However, I do suppose someone could, in theory, modify this, add a little spring, add a little launching mechanism. I mean, you get a ton of those from the Transformers figures, and you could, in theory, recreate the launching mechanism of the show, but I'll leave that up to the experts. As for the accessory itself, it's nicely detailed. It is what you expect of an accessory. It represents the sword pretty well. I mean, in terms of the blade, it represents the sword pretty well, and there's nothing really much I can say about this. The one thing that I'm furious about is the lack of crucial detail. Yes, in the show you can actually clearly see the word Michael on the scabbard itself right over here to identify the sword, to identify the make of the sword. But unfortunately, while the scabbard is nicely detailed, as I've said previously, that one crucial detail is missing. In addition to the pressurized air feature, it also has a chain that extends from the bottom of the sword and can be attached to the scabbard of the sword. This has various applied uses. For instance, Kagura can shoot the sword like a projectile and still be able to retrieve it, and not only that, she can also use this function to propel herself vertically upwards a couple of stories. And as expected of Figma figures, the chain is provided so that you can recreate a number of dynamic action poses with the chain flowing around Kagura. The chain is of a decent length, so I suppose you could recreate a ton of poses and scenes with it without you running out of chain. It is of course made of metal, and I do really like metal in my figures and my figure accessories. I don't know about you, but there really is a sense of prestige, an air of prestige that comes from metal. So to attach the chain to the sword, what we do is simply peg one end of it into the bottom of the handle of the sword. For the hook, we simply attach it to the scabbard like so. So now we have the sword attached to the scabbard via this really long and awe-inspiring chain. Next up, Kagura's exchangeable hands. For one, she does come with a number of hands without the wrist joint, so that the sword would not flop around when posing Figma Kagura. Also of note is that a pair of hands are included for you to recreate the pose of Kagura releasing her Ga-Rei. A hand that will allow you to hold her scabbard is also provided. And in terms of special exchangeable hands, Kagura also comes with one holding her cell phone. Again, a nice accessory, but there is a problem with the lack of detail. I really don't think it will be that hard to have included a number pad. If you've watched the series, you know that she does have a little strap, a cell phone strap. They've actually left it out on her phone. Something that I was pretty glad to have seen included with Figma Kagura is the Dokusho, which I would suppose is some sort of spirit exercising stake. This is a weapon that is used quite often in the series, and is a weapon of great significance to the end of the series, so I won't really go into much detail, but again, just a nicely detailed stake weapon. And last but not least, the final two accessories to come with Figma Kagura are exchangeable faces. Aside from the happy smiling one that she has on already, she also has a happier laughing face, and of course a battle ready expression. On to Figma Yomi, and just like with Figma Kagura, we'll be starting off with Yomi's main weapon of choice, Oto Shishio, the sacred sword that contains the spiritual beast Nue, named Rangren, loyal to whoever holds the sword at the time. This time, the scabbard is really well detailed, and from what I can tell, there is no detail whatsoever that has been left out. But as for the main sword itself, Oto Shishio, as I've shown you before with my 1:1 scale replica, there are a ton of intricate markings on the handle of the sword that isn't represented on the figure accessory, which is once again kind of a shame, but more forgivable than the blatant lack of the word Michael on Michael the 12th. Figma Yomi also comes with a secondary weapon, and that is the Exorcist Knuckle Douglas the 28th, or Douglas number 28. It's, as you can see, modeled in the shape of an iron. Yomi uses this weapon as a replacement when Oto Shishio was sent for regular maintenance. Blessed water is emitted as steam from the surface. We have the name of the weapon, Douglas 28, and of course the kanji Chinese characters written on the base of the iron. And just like with Michael D12, Douglas the 28 does have a chain gimmick. You can see this pseudo electric plug on the end of the iron. We can remove this. It's just attached via a simple hole and peg system. Do be cautious, because this thing can be lost very, very, very easily. Chain accessory is included, and this simply pegs into the back of Douglas D28. Yomi comes with the usual. She does have an exchangeable hand without the wrist joint for you so that the sword won't flop around when you are posing her. She also does come with a hand that will allow you to hold her scabbard. For special exchangeable hands, Yomi does come with one holding a cell phone. So altogether, Yomi comes with two more exchangeable faces, other than the one that she already has on of her smiling. She does have one of her serious face. I do believe she only uses when she turns evil, and another battle ready expression. Last but not least, the final accessory to come with Figma Yomi, and a really impressive one at that, is an exchangeable back hairpiece. This one has her hair tied up in a ponytail only when she turns evil. I do not recall her ever tying her hair up into a ponytail until she became evil. It's brilliant that they gave you the option to exchange her hairpiece to make her the evil Yomi. To exchange her hairpiece, what you need to do is to simply pop her head off her neck. It's on a peg and hole system, so it comes off kind of easily, but of course you still do need a little bit of force. Front hair fringe goes away. Take a serious expression and attach it to her ponytail hairpiece, and do the same for the front hairpiece. And once that's done, all we need to do is to reattach her head onto her neck. And there we have Evil Yomi. Bring Figma Kagura back, let's take a look at her articulation. Her head is on a Figma joint, so it can be posed freely, up and down, left and right. Her arms can move forwards and backwards, in and out. They also are kind of double jointed, so they can move up and down like that to give you a much wider range of natural posability. Her elbows can move forwards and backwards. Her hands can rotate at the wrist joint and move forwards and backwards. She does have a lovely chest joint, as I've said in part 1 of the video. She can also rotate at the chest joint, though the possibility is somewhat limited due to the elasticity of the soft PVC clothing. She does also have a separate waist joint that will allow you to move it side to side and slightly forwards and backwards. Her legs can move forwards and backwards, in and out, can rotate at the thigh. Her knees can move forwards and backwards, and as for feet, it can move forwards and backwards, side to side, and pivot side to side this way as well. As for Figma Yomi, she possesses near identical articulation to Figma Kagura because, well, she is after all a Figma figure. Her head can move forwards and backwards and rotate side to side. Her arms can move forwards and backwards, in and out, and also has that double joint to give you the wider range of natural possibility. Her elbows can move forwards and backwards, and her hands can rotate at the wrist joint and move forwards and backwards at the wrist joint. She unfortunately, due to the design of her clothes, does not have a chest joint, which is kind of a shame, but she does of course have a waist joint. Actually, she does have a double waist joint, because as you can see, she can move once just above her legs, and she can move at her, well, actual waist itself. You can see her belly button there. Really attractive. Her legs can move forwards and backwards, in and out, and of course I forgot to mention her waist can rotate at both points as well, at just above her legs, and of course right below her body. Her legs can move in and out, forwards and backwards, rotate at the thigh. Her knees can move forwards and backwards, and her feet can move forwards and backwards, pivot side to side, and move forwards and backwards. Overall, I give these two figures the seal of approval. Aside from being splendid figures in their own right, they are based off characters from a stellar show that I never have imagined would have been turned into Figma figures. Watch the show and pick these figures up. You will not be disappointed either way. Did you know that the voice actress for Yomi also voiced Misao from Lucky Star? Considering the fact that I'm a huge fan of both Misao and Yomi, well, that certainly surprised me when I found out. Seriously, you can never underestimate the versatility of female Japanese voice actresses. During the Lucky Star concert, Mizuhara Kaoru said a number of Yomi lines in Misao's voice.
私の姉と